but I've gotten some feedback from a bunch of my friends and a bunch of other people on Twitter and Instagram, and they said that they would rather have me go through season 4 since it just ended on Friday, October 1st, and then go through it live as season 5 is airing. So that's what I'll be doing from now on. If you do want me to go over any episodes from any of the previous seasons, just let me know and I'll be happy to write a review on that. But I figured it might be more interesting and more fun to go through episodes that are recent. So today we are doing That Unfortunate Dinner, season 4, episode 1. It was written by Libby Wells, directed by Michael A. Allowitz, and it was released on May 7th, 2021. So this episode, I remember it. I was so excited to see this episode air, especially after coming off of season 3 and how we didn't get a finale for that. It ended 2 episodes early, I believe, due to the pandemic. So they couldn't end up filming a finale. So this episode and episode 2 are what would have been in season 3 if they were able to film it then. But as always, my name is Shani. I have changed my @s on Instagram and Twitter, so you can follow me at Falliamsdelena. That's FALLIAMSDELENA. And you can find me the same on Instagram. But then this is always in, the same Dynasty fan pod. Feel free to email me with any theories or questions or comments about any of the episodes that we are doing. I will always post on my Twitter asking for thoughts and concerns and theories and stuff like that, so you can either answer them there or feel free to DM me or email me that. So yeah, this episode is exciting. So the synopsis on dynastytv.fandom.com wiki, it is Fallon and Liam plan their wedding with some unsolicited input from Alexis, which leaves Fallon questioning if Alexis could be right. Alexis and Jeff have a photo shoot to announce their new power couple status. Dominique runs into hiccups with her new fashion line and turns to unexpected sources for help. Meanwhile, Blake is determined to work on his relationship with Crystal, and Culhane advises Sam on his current state of affairs. Lastly, as Anders does some digging and is shocked by what he finds, and Adam's confession to Kirby is met with surprising results. So, yeah, we have the regular cast coming back as their characters. We do have some special guest stars in this episode. I'm not going to say them right now because they're kind of a surprise. I mean, if you've already seen the episode, you know. But we have 2 really great characters guest starring in this episode, which is always exciting. I think they add a lot of drama to this episode. Alright, so we start off, and it is a wide shot of a funeral. We can tell that it's a funeral because, well, 1, there's a coffin, but 2, a really interesting thing that I learned when I was in film school is about lighting. It's a very dim sort of light, almost has a blue kind of grayish undertone, which can represent gloominess and sadness and stuff. So that's, that's always fun. It was great to try and speculate for how long about who was in the coffin or who died and all that stuff. So we see Fallon looking at the coffin. So that already, tells us that it's not Fallon who died, but she's the only one that we see there. So it could honestly be anybody at this point. After we see this scene for about maybe 20 to 30 seconds, we get a little title screen saying 6 months earlier. So that's where we left off for that. Going into the next scene, there is a record player, and Fallon is choosing things for her wedding. Kind of like how she did in season 3 when she was choosing things for her wedding with Culhane, how she kind of had like a live fashion show almost. She's doing the same here, picking the guest book and the plants and which picture she wants at her rehearsal dinner of her and Liam, all that fun stuff. They do have a funny little nod to the fact that there have been 3 crystals over the past 3 seasons, and this is the first time that we've had a crystal for longer than a season. she is shown like this figurine, I guess, of her and Liam that would go on the cake, and she kind of yells like Crystal, and then she turns around and there's another woman there who kind of looks like how the Crystals have looked, and we find out that her name later is like Melinda, but it was just a funny little nod at how, you know, there have been 3 different Crystals. So kudos to Daniela for sticking with the show and going on for another season. It's nice to not have a new Crystal coming every season. It's hard enough to think about the fact that season 2 Crystal is the same as season 3 and season 4 Crystal, even though their acting is a lot different, they look a lot different, they speak differently. But yeah, so thank you, Daniela, for sticking with the show for more than one season. And then we go, Liam walks in and he's like, I'm actually gonna go, and Fallon's like, no, stay there, we need to plan this. And they basically just talk about the things that they want for their wedding, and Liam goes to kiss her, and that makes Fallon accidentally drop the little figurine, and Liam's head falls off. So that probably sets the tone for the episode, how this episode's gonna go. Liam getting decapitated, you know, all that stuff. We go into a scene with Jeff and Alexis. You know, kind of like I said in the synopsis, they're going to announce their power couple status. They're having like a little photo shoot, and then Adam walks in and basically, you know, is just talking to his mom about all these things, and Alexis mentions that she wants Adam to stop dating Kirby. She doesn't think very highly of Kirby, as we've seen in the past seasons, you know. She doesn't like her very much, so she wants Adam to stay away from her. We go and see a scene with Dom, and she mentions that House of Devereaux, her reality show that she was focusing on in season 3, has been canceled. And now she is focusing on making like a fashion line. She wants to make clothes, and I think she's mostly focusing on sleepwear at this moment. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I know fashion is very, very prevalent to all the characters in the show, you know. Fallon has like a designer wardrobe, same with all the other women on the show and the guys as well. So it'll be really cool to see, you know, the progression of someone who is designing fashion and is going to go into the industry and not just, you know, wear it and have a designer wardrobe. So that'll be definitely fun to see. Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil anything because I've already caught up with the season, but this is for all my friends who haven't seen it yet, and when it's gonna air on Netflix for you guys. It should be coming out on Netflix on the 22nd of October, in case you guys are wondering. So yeah, alright, sorry, back to my review. So Blake and Crystal are on very thin ice. He found out that, you know, they just weren't doing very nice things with each other. She was sleeping with this priest that we found out about in season 3. Obviously, we saw that Blake and Laura and Kurt slept together in season 3 as well. You know, just all interesting things. Blake is mentioning to Adam that he wants to buy back oil so that he can replenish the ones that they lost in Moldavia. So if you haven't seen season 3, basically Blake wanted to go to Moldavia to try to like get some oil, and a bunch of bad stuff happened, and they lost a bunch of it. So that also means that Blake lost a bunch of money. So he has to like get this loan so that he can try and buy back this oil so that they can keep making money. Also in season 3, in the very last episode, we find out that Sam got married when he was drunk to this guy named Scorpio. It was a really funny episode, so if you haven't seen that, go watch the final episode of season 3 if you're caught up. But yeah, so Sam is married to this guy named Scorpio, which is his like stripper name, but his real name is Ryan. And then their first scene together in this season is them signing an annulment so that they can, you know, not be married to each other anymore. But when Ryan leaves, Sam kind of looks sad. So we'll see what's going on with that. We Go back to the manor. Alexis walks in, singing her own little version of Here Comes the Bride. And she gasps quite loudly or dramatically when she sees that the Liam figurine is supposed to be on their cake. His head is decapitated. And she asks Fallon if she's collected all of her something. So her something new, something old, something borrowed, and something blue. It's like a little American. I don't know if it's just American or if they do it in other countries, but it's like a little wedding tradition that you want to collect all these different things. Something borrowed from is like you would get from someone who has a happy marriage, and you can borrow it from them so that your wedding will also have a happy marriage, and you get something new and something old and something blue. So since Fallon hasn't collected it yet, and it's the night before the wedding, Alexis thinks that their wedding is going to be cursed. Fallon's like, what? No, you're crazy. It's not going to be cursed. That's all just superstition. But in Dynasty fashion, Fallon gets a call from her wedding planner, and they said that a pipe burst in the church where Fallon and Liam were going to get married. There's water everywhere, and it cannot be fixed in time for the wedding. So that's a bummer. Alexis is, she kind of probably wants to say, I told you so, but she doesn't. So, yeah. A little while later, Liam walks into Fallon's bedroom while she's going through a bunch of her stuff. And he said that they shouldn't worry because they're moving everything to the manor, and they'll be able to get married there. Unfortunately, Fallon says that Monica can't make it. She's stuck across the world, and she's still trying to look for her somethings. She does have a something new, however, and that is the coolest, sick driving car. It's super cool looking. Liam likes it as well. So yeah, there's something new. Then we move on to Crystal and Blake. They're having a lunch at La Mirage, trying to just talk through things, stuff like that. I don't understand why Crystal is upset that Blake cheated and lied to her, considering, she did the same. She slept with Father Collins, I believe his name is. So yeah, I don't know why she's being kind of hypocritical about that, but feelings are feelings, I guess. We go back to La Mirage, and Sam and Culhane are figuring out what napkin colors the hotel we're gonna have, just things like that, because they're working together. Ryan shows up. Sam agrees to have lunch with Ryan and is gonna let Ryan stay at La Mirage. So they kind of have like a little date planned, wants to get to know each other, kind of like how Fallon and Liam were. They got married first and then had a date, that kind of thing. I guess it runs in the Carrington family. Get married first and then start getting to know who you're married to and having dates and stuff. We go back to the manor the same day, and Fallon has Liam blindfolded and is walking him into the dining room. Her something blue is very sentimental. It is super, super sweet. She mentions that she knows that even though Liam uninvited his mom to the wedding, she still wants him to have one of his parents there. And so she stole a photo from Liam's apartment of a picture of his dad, and his dad's wearing a suit with like this blue pocket square. And so she was able to track down the fabric that was the same and make pocket squares out of that same fabric for Liam and all his groomsmen for the wedding. So it's a super sweet something blue, very sentimental. Liam is very happy, super sweet little moment. And then they talk about how her something borrowed needs to be from a happy marriage, but Fallon can't think of anyone in her family that has had one. They also get a call now that their officiant is in the hospital due to an allergic reaction. So not only can they not have their wedding in the church now, they don't have an officiant. So it's definitely seeming like their wedding might be a little bit cursed here, which is not good. They both kind of get nervous about that. So Adam is very particularly shady in this episode. He's making weird phone calls, acting a little bit weird. Something's going on with Anders too. He is like talking to this woman about Adam and how Adam's adopted mom died. And Kirby walks into the loft where Adam is, and just like talking about the wedding and stuff like that. And Adam takes Kirby's phone and does like a Find My Friends kind of app thing on her phone, and figures out that Anders is in Billings, Montana. That is where Adam used to live with his adopted parents before he found out that he was a Carrington. So Anders is obviously doing some investigation into Adam, which if Adam doesn't like something, he will go a little psycho Adam, and he will make sure that stuff about him that he doesn't want to get out doesn't get out. Fallon goes to Blake and asks if anyone in their family has had a happy marriage, and she really, really wants this marriage with Liam to work out. Blake says something super, super nice to her and says that her and Liam are soulmates, and that he's sure that their marriage will work out, which is so nice because he's never said that about any of her other relationships. Obviously not with Jeff, because Jeff is her cousin that she almost married before she married Liam. So that's, I understood why he didn't say that about her and Jeff's relationship. But yeah, so he thinks that they're soulmates and that their wedding will work out. He gives her something borrowed from his wedding with Crystal, his little boutonniere that he had on, that he has in like a little shadow box kind of thing. But Fallon says that Crystal moved out, so why is this from a happy marriage? So, proves the fact again that nobody in her family's really had a happy marriage. Blake and Alexis didn't work out. Blake and the first Crystal didn't work out. Before she died, they were fighting. Crystal and Blake were fighting. And then, Blake and this Crystal aren't on good terms right now. So, we go to Dom in the same room that she was in before, I think, or is a different room in the manor. One that we haven't seen before. And Fallon's getting this little clock thing out of this kind of glass, I don't really know what they're called. It kind of looks like it's like a museum, just like a table, but it has glass all around it and you can't access it. So she's getting this clock, and she said it's going to be her something old. Fallon tries to do Dominique tries to do a little business antics, pull one over on Fallon or something like that, and she says that she wants to try to give her her new sleepwear that she's been designing. And Fallon's like, no, absolutely not. Please stick to the registry if you're gonna get us any presents, which is really funny. Then Dom tries to get her to invest into Domasleep, one of those two. The name changes a lot. And Fallon walks out, and she's like, good luck with your 90s. And then Dom asks if Jeff is going to the rehearsal dinner, and Fallon's like, unless things suddenly become normal, he's still my mother's +1. She has a lot of really funny one-liners in this episode. I know Fallon has had, just throughout the history of the show, she's had a lot of good one-liners, but this episode in particular, she kind of kills it with just her sassy little comebacks and stuff like that. So that was funny. I laughed out loud at that one. Then we go to Fallon playing the piano in their sitting room, and it's a sneak peek of the song that Liz wrote for Fallon and Liam's wedding. Again, in season 3, she mentions that she wants to get Liam a present, but she doesn't know exactly what, he wants. He's kind of hard to shop for. So she's like, I'll write him a song about how much I love him. That'll be a good sentimental present. It's priceless. He'll love it forever. It'll be a great memory. And so we as fans have been waiting so long to hear this song. Ever since we saw the episode in season 3, we knew that Liz was going to write it. She was going to write it herself. She's great at writing songs. She's like written a lot, she said in interviews, but she actually sat down and she made this song very, very relevant to Fallon and Liam's relationship. Like, there is stuff in the song that's going to be specifically about them, specific things that have happened in their relationship that are mentioned in the song. So it's going to be a very sweet song, very, very reminiscent of their relationship, and definitely towards Liam. So it's not going to be about anybody else. It's mentioned very specific things in their relationship. Alexis walks in and gives her a little souvenir of a Swedish horse. Like, it's like a little glass horse, but she says it's like a Swedish thing that she got from her marriage from Jeff. And again, Alexis is also on board with Fallon and Liam's relationship and their wedding and stuff, and just like Blake was. And she said some really nice things. She wants only the best for her and Liam. And she says that not everything works out with marriage, and Fallon gets a little worried, but Alexis, and I quote, she says, "Some things don't work out, but sometimes they do. There are soulmates. You are about to marry yours, and yes, the universe sometimes gets things right." I just paraphrased a little bit of what she was saying just for this, but it was really, really sweet to see that her mom finally, supported her, and she supported this relationship that she was in. Then we go back to Andrew, see what he's doing. We know for sure that he's in Billings, Montana now, and he's talking to this old nurse that Adam's adopted mom had, and she basically says, like, yeah, like, Adam's kind of a creep. He is very shady. He, was kind of messing around with medicine and stuff like that, and I don't trust him. And so Anders gets the confirmation that Adam can be a shady dude. So we are now on to the Fallium rehearsal dinner. So this is exciting. Liam says, let's get this party started. Fallon ended up choosing Blake's boutonniere as her something borrowed. So over the little glass horse, she chose Blake's boutonniere from his wedding with Crystal in prison. Kirby and Culhane kind of have a funny banter, I guess, or talk kind of thing. And he's like, yeah, I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend about her new boyfriend at my ex-fiance's rehearsal dinner to a new man. And Kirby kind of tells him off. She's like, well, maybe this would have been easier if you don't sleep with everyone in the manor. So that's funny, because Culhane has slept with everyone in the manor. If you weren't here for season 3, he also slept with Dom, so that's fun. Dominique sneaks over to the table where Fallon has all of her little somethings, and she takes back the clock, because she says that it was like, it's hers more than it is Fallon. It belonged to her aunt. So she takes it, hides it in her purse. Liam and Fallon make a toast, and he says, to this new drama-free chapter. Now, if we know anything about Dynasty and relationships, they're usually not drama-free. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Hopefully they get a drama-free relationship, but like I said before, it's Dynasty. Nothing's really going to be drama-free. After Liam's speech, a waiter trips and falls into this picture that Fallon and Liam have of them standing there laughing, and he trips and falls, and he kind of has a champagne bottle in his hand, and he makes it go through Liam's head on accident. So there's been a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of different things showing Liam's head getting torn off or falling off or something like that. So yeah, he falls, and then one of our guest stars walks in. Miss Sharon Lawrence as Laura Van Kirk, the queen. I love Laura Van Kirk. She's awesome. Sharon Lawrence does such a great job at playing her. Like, she's one of those characters that, like, you hate to love her and you love to hate her, like, in the best way possible. She is amazing. If you haven't seen her in any of the other seasons, definitely go back and watch some of the episodes with her. She is adamant about Liam not being with Fallon. They even uninvited her to their wedding, but she shows up at the rehearsal dinner. So Liam's kind of talking to her. Like, he's like, "What are you doing here? We banned you from the wedding." She's like, "I just wanted to see you." And so then Liam walks away because he can't really deal with it. There's an Alexis and Fallon scene that's really funny. And then we go to Laura and Fallon, and she's basically saying, like, "I'm very sorry for everything. I really want to be at my son's special day. This is really important to me." And so Fallon pulls Liam over and she's like, "Don't hate me, but I think you should talk to your mom. She really wants to be here. She loves you. She wants to show up at the wedding. And you should tell her that she can stay at the rehearsal dinner." And so Liam returns with Laura, and the rehearsal dinner is about to start. So Fallon says, "All right, everyone, it's time for the bridal party speeches to Kirby." And so they all go, Fallon, Liam, and Kirby stand behind the microphone. So the priest that Crystal was sleeping with walks in, and Kirby's holding the microphone. She's like, "Who is that?" And Fallon's like, "Oh, like, that's our new officiant. We just hired him a couple of hours ago, but he was able to last minute fill in and be our officiant for our wedding." And of course, you know, in Dynasty fashion, the microphone turns on when Kirby says, "Oh, that's the priest that Crystal's been sleeping with." And so, of course, that echoes throughout the entire room. Everyone in the room hears it, even Blake. And Liam snatches the microphone away from Kirby. It's very funny. And Alexis is like, the priest is like, "Oh, I didn't know you would be here. I thought this was the Van Kirk wedding." And Alexis is like, yes, it is. Now, after watching this scene, the first time I watched it, I thought this was one of the greatest scenes that Dynasty has done. It was so funny. Everybody's just comedic timing. It was like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It was awesome. They all just delivered their lines in the perfect amount of time to add the most perfect comedic timing to this. And so everyone just, you know, like I said, going back and forth really made this scene. I thought it was a great scene. I loved it. I rewatched it many times because I just thought it was so funny. So Blake gets angry, of course, and Crystal's like, "Why? You can't be angry that I slept with this priest or pastor or whatever." And she's like, "Yeah, you can't be mad that I slept with him. You slept with Laura Van Kirk." And everybody in the room, Liam's like, "Are you kidding?" Fallon's like, "Ew, that's disgusting. Oh my god." And so everybody's just like, and Laura's like, "Yeah, but it wasn't good," or something like that. She's amazing. I love her. Yeah, that whole scene was crazy. And so everybody's kind of just talking and yelling over each other, and Fallon says it's like a train crash that keeps going into the ocean that hits an iceberg and another train and then the Titanic. Very, very detailed, you know, just way of saying it's a train crash. And then Blake goes over and punches the priest. Fallon gets angry that this happened at her rehearsal dinner, obviously, as she should. I mean, it's supposed to be a focus on her and Liam, and that kind of got derailed. So, Fallon leaves the party. She doesn't want anybody to follow her. She's like, "You guys stay here, whatever, I don't care. I'm going back to my house." So Blake and Crystal go into a room at La Mirage, and they're fighting, and they basically are like, "We both cheated on each other." Crystal's like, "Yeah, you just care more about your company than you do about me. And I'm not moving back into the manor." So, yeah. We go to a scene with Kirby and Adam next, and Adam basically confesses to all the things he's done. He's like, yeah, you remember when Alexis got injured in the fire? I pushed her face into the fire. I caused my adoptive mom to OD, and now I think Anders is going to tell people about it and that I'm going to go to jail. And Anders is going to try to make me pay. Something like that. So we go back to Fallon, and she is in her bedroom. You know, she's in her pajamas. She's kind of over everything that happened. And Liam finds her, and she apologizes for overreacting and that the whole night was a fail. And he's like, no, I don't think you overreacted. I actually think that was a perfectly normal reaction to finding out that your stepmom cheated on your dad cheated on your stepmom, your mom is sleeping with your ex-fiance and cousin, and that your dad slept with my mom. And he's like, it's a perfectly normal reaction. Life is messy. And he's like, but we will still have the perfect wedding. You know, all this curse about some things, it's not gonna change us. We'll have the perfect wedding. And she's like, I don't want to have the perfect wedding though. I want to have the perfect life. And she doesn't think that they can have a good relationship if all this stuff isn't done. But Liam thinks they can. You know, Liam is always a very positive, he's the optimist in their relationship, basically. He always thinks that they can have a good life. You know, things don't get to him as much as they get to Fallon. But he says that he thinks that they will have a good relationship. But in case she needs a reminder, he goes over to his jacket and he pulls out a bunch of napkins. And Fallon reads these aloud. And after reading the last one aloud, she realizes where they're all from. He's kept a napkin from every place that they've been on a date. How sweet is that? Like, he is so cute. He kept napkins from every place that they've been on a date to. Like, if he's not the most little romantic person ever, I love it. He's so sweet. And he's like, we don't need to borrow luck because we have our own luck. And we have these with our napkins. And he asks if she still wants to marry him tomorrow. And she says, I'm quoting this from the episode. She says, I not only want to marry you, I want to be with you every day after that. And nothing and no one will ever tear us apart. How sweet. Finally, you know, one of her relationships hopefully is going to work out. You know, she's had kind of a rough go at it in the past. But hopefully this one, you know, actually will stand the test of time and will let them have this relationship. But, you know, we can't just end it. Dynasty can't just end on a happy note, you guys. This is the whole point of Dynasty. So, we see her, Fallon's wedding planner, Melissa or something, and she's talking to this guy, and she's explaining everything bad that happened. She's like, yeah, they don't have their priest, he had an allergic reaction, a pipe burst at their church, which I'm like, I don't know why she's telling all this to some random guy. Like, I know it's not, like, confidential, but, like, still, it's kind of weird. But then he looks up, he's wearing a hat and stuff, and he's in, like, a new outfit or whatever, kind of just trying to disguise who he is. But once he looks up and talks to her, you realize it's Evan. And he's kind of been we kind of think that he's kind of been the one to sabotage all the stuff, because when Melinda says that they figured it out, you know, they've moved the wedding to the manor and anybody can be an officiant online these days, he kind of looks pissed. So Evan's acting shady as usual. So yeah, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening and for coming back, and I hope you enjoy me going through season 4. It just ended, so I can't wait till we get more in depth of it. I'll also start uploading these onto YouTube, so if you want to comment underneath there, or if it's a better way for you to listen, I will do that as well. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both my personal account and my Dynasty account. You'll get updates there. You can also, like I said earlier, message me there, ask me any questions you want, stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening or morning, depending on where you're listening to this from. So yeah, I hope you have a great one. Thanks for listening again. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we're going to go over Season 4, Episode 2. So stay tuned for that. See you guys later. Bye.